being okay with it not going the way you want it to go. Now, when you distill it down to that, it sounds really bratty, right? Like it sounds really bratty. Like it's like, oh, it didn't go the way you wanted it to go. Like chill out. But I think when you are working towards a goal and you have done the steps, you've done the necessary steps, and it still doesn't work out because of somebody else, I think for me, and I think other people feel this way, especially people who are working hard, who have good intentions, who are high achieving, that is so frustrating and that's really hard to deal with.
Hi, I'm Cheryl Medeiros.
And I'm Colleen Hungerford. And this is We're Doing This Right, right? A podcast for the whole woman, mind, body, soul, and business.
It's humor infused, as real as it gets, inspiring, and you'll walk away with real usable tools for life and business.
If you love what you're hearing, please share with a friend, subscribe so you'll never miss an episode, and rate and review whenever you listen.
So find your earbuds, lace up your walking shoes, or cozy up with a beverage of your choice. It's time to dig in.
Hello. Good day.
Oh, hello. Good day. That was a long one today.
I know. You know, I only sing when I'm having a rough day. Raise your hand if you're doing it right. Keep at least one hand on the steering wheel, people. Are you doing it right? How about you today, Colleen?
I don't really know. I think so, but I think every day is a mix of right and wrong, I guess. Yeah, I'm still I have a lot of trivial problems going on that feel big to me, but I know you have a lot of other bigger things going on. It's all just perspective. I'm still dealing with this car bullshit, and that is driving me bananas. So
all relative. So when I was very sick, going through the kidney disease, the treatment and all of that, I felt like people didn't want to tell me what was going on in their lives because it felt trivial to them compared to what I was going through. But it's all relative. Just because I had a shitty morning with big things doesn't mean that it's not inconvenient for you that you're still trying to figure out what the fuck car to drive.
Yeah, I think though it does put things in perspective, right? Like I could be very dramatic about my fucking transmission went out and it's been 2 weeks and I'm still trying to find a car, and my husband is analysis man and I am make a decision now lady, and so it's taken us a bit to get there. And then we went today to just take the car away from the mechanic shop. Like we're just going to trade it in, right? We're not going to fix it, so we're just going to trade it in. And then it was not going into reverse. And then it was do we have to tow this? Is this a whole thing? And anyway, all those little things, and they felt very dramatic, but then you put it into perspective of bigger things and they feel a little bit silly.
I think perspective is the greatest gift on earth. And honestly, that time being unwell gave me perspective for my life that has changed and shaped me in a way that I'm incredibly grateful for.
Yeah.
If we're healthy, then it has made it easier for me to file things usually away and where they belong and in the order of relativity. So what Colleen's talking about is we lost somebody very dear to us last night. I found out this morning. I was going to go see him this morning and he's not there. So heartbreaking, for me and Alex and for the girls who I haven't told yet. I told everybody yesterday that it didn't look like he was going to get better. And then, so they're all prepared, but no fun, really heartbreaking. Sorry. And then just a quick PSA, it's not me, but a reminder to do your breast exams and check yourself for lumps, because that's also near me right now. And that's heavy and terrible. And I got all this news within 30 minutes.
That's so much. That's just so much to have at one time.
Yeah.
And I do think that is it's life. And it's, I had my first mammogram this year and I was really scared to go. And I don't know why, but to your point, it's so important to be doing that because you never know.
And advocate for yourself. If you are a person with dense breast tissue, please advocate for the ultrasound. And
Mhm.
because traditional mammograms are not effective for people with dense breast tissue. And I am so infuriated that that is the standard practice of care
Right.
for people with dense breast tissue. Why are we wasting the time, money, resources on
Yeah.
that? Just shift and do the ultrasound. Do the thing that's actually effective where you can see what's going on, because that's fucking stupid and a waste.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
here I
Agreed.
am on my soapbox.
As you should
My
be.
mom says it's because men are in charge of healthcare
Is really
or health
true.
insurance. I mean, gosh, it's all over the news right now. It just happened and how people feel about this. So,
Yeah, that's really insane. And I've said for a long time, because I mean, I worked in healthcare, and when I worked at a physical therapy clinic, it's really challenging. We had insurance companies like repeatedly denying very obvious care that people needed. And we had a patient with Parkinson's who needed continued care, like for quality of life, for basic function. And the insurance deemed that he only needed 8 visits. And I was just like, y'all fucking crazy. Like, it's a degenerative disease that's going to continue. Anyway, so we're not going to talk about Luigi, but whoa, there's a lot going on there.
things we're normally a lot more uplifting than this. Let's see if we can shift.
I
Colin
don't
said,
think
do you want to
so.
reschedule? And I said, no, I think it'll help. I do think it will help. And I think that on topic, this is something I
Yeah.
can control in my life right now. Is not, I don't want you guys to take this the wrong way, but this is something on my to-do list and I'm going to check the box. It's a lot more meaningful to me than just checking a box. I really enjoy this,
Yeah.
and it breathes life into my world, but it is something that, we do every week, and
Yeah.
it will make me feel good and in control of my life to do what I know I need to do. I'm going to tackle my task list so hard today, Susan. Get excited.
Got excited. Okay, so Cheryl asked me, we were talking about like what we want to, like one of the things we want to talk about. And this topic has been kind of in my mind and my universe for a bit now. And it originally came out as how to deal with people who don't know how to do their job, which is challenging. But I think what distill that down, what it really means is like, how are we approaching those situations and really controlling what we can control? So that's the synopsis of what we're going to talk about. And now we will, if you want to just stop listening, please don't. Please don't stop listening. But that's the Cliff Notes version. So this kind of came up because our world in real estate is a unique one. It is unique in that you can do your job really well, right? But you're also dependent in some ways on the person on the other side of the transaction. So if you're the listing agent, you're dependent on the buyer's agent to do their job well. Once you guys are under a contract, or even before that, like you need that person to do well in order for you to succeed, which is why I think it's important to have good relationships with everybody. And there's no such thing as like competition in this field. But I've had some situations now where I have felt, maybe the other person didn't, I don't know, but I have felt like we were doing all the things that we were supposed to be doing, like doing all the steps, moving right along, and the agent on the other side, in my opinion, and maybe they felt like they were doing a good job, wasn't doing what they were supposed to do. That's frustrating, right? Because you're like, what the hell, man? Like, we did all the things that we were supposed to do, and we went above and beyond, and blah, 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 and you're not doing those things. And now we have no deal, right? Like, these things fall apart sometimes. And it's interesting now for me in this kind of team lead role to have like a different perspective on this, to be able to teach how to handle these things. Because when it's just you and you're like, well, clearly this guy just fucking sucked. I don't know what else to say. But I can't tell her that. Like, I mean, we do talk about that. But also it's like, okay, well, what can we control? Is there something we could have done differently? No, maybe, but also maybe no. Then okay. Like, we just have to
Right.
control the things that we can control. Like we can't
And be
control the fact that this guy sucks.
yeah, and be okay with that, which is the being okay with that is I think the harder thing than controlling what you can
Oh,
control, especially for the high achievers, which is who we're talking to. You know,
yeah.
whether you're in real estate, whether you own a retail store and your suppliers a debag and
Mm-hmm.
didn't get your order in, so now you don't have something to sell for Christmas. These are big things that affect our bottom lines.
Yeah.
And it's hard to not get emotional about it and frustrated about it. I have been on too many deals with shitty agents on the other side. And
Yeah.
it makes my job harder and more frustrating. And then it's also like a game of me trying to like control that emotion when I'm talking to my clients because I'm
Right.
frustrated because I know that this could be going better than it is. Like even in a transaction where something's going sideways, but there's a good agent, a collaborative, communicative agent on the other side, it is so much more doable to manage that and find a
So
way
much more.
through. And maybe we don't always end up at the closing table, and that's okay
No,
because
and
not all
that's
deals
okay.
are meant to close. But at least when it's like you can be left with a positive taste in your mouth about who you're working with on the other end. But unfortunately, we don't get to control who's bringing in the good offer. We
Yeah,
don't get to
we don't.
control necessarily who our supplier is or who we need to rely on to buy a car or those things. So then it's like, okay, so control what I can control. What can I control? I know that I can control my actions. I know that I can control I can try to control my actions. This is a whole thing I've been talking about in therapy, but I can control my actions. I
Yeah.
control the tasks that I can do. I can control seeing 3 steps ahead and like playing out all the different scenarios that we might come across and having a plan for each of those things. Like there's a lot I can do in those scenarios to control things for success and then there's things I can't. And that's the
Yeah.
part that's like,
That's the
hate
sucky
you.
part. I think the hardest thing that I've had to deal with, and you've helped me with this a lot, and Susie's helped me with this a lot, and a lot of other, mentors or friends that I have in this industry and others, is being okay with it not going the way you want it to go. Now, when you
Mhm.
distill it down to that, it sounds really bratty, right? Like it sounds really bratty. Like it's like, oh, it didn't go the way you wanted it to go. Like chill out. But I think when you are working towards a goal and you have done the steps, you've done the necessary steps, and it still doesn't work out because of somebody else, I think for me, and I think other people feel this way, especially people who are working hard, who have good intentions, who are high achieving, that is so frustrating and that's really hard to deal with. I think that that
Mhm.
is a big hurdle to overcome this idea of you did everything you could. I mean, you did everything you could do and it still didn't work out. That fucking sucks. Like
Right.
that is, and that still happens. You see that in athletics and sports, and a lot of us who are in these positions played sports before. But I don't know, man. It's like you being Kobe Bryant and your teammate is like me and you're
Hmm.
like, I did everything I could and we still fucking lost because you suck. You know,
Right.
like
Right.
that's hard.
Yeah, that's
I'm
really
not
hard.
Kobe
Team
Bryant.
sports were hard in that way. Us being a swimmer, like my individual races, that was
Yeah.
nice because it was only me that it was only me I had to worry about and only me I had to blame when
Yeah.
something went sideways.
Yeah.
Um,
That's good and bad, right? Well, and
yeah,
I
it's good and
think
bad.
I think that is why women who are like us, who are higher achieving, who want results, want success, tend to start to run their own businesses or tend to start to take these leadership roles because it does give them more responsibility, but more control over the results, right? And I
Mhm.
think, but to that end, we have seen how that leads to burnout, right? Because if you're the only one, and we know this because we
Mhm.
talk about like how to not be the only one. If you're the only one all the time, then there's only so much you can achieve, right?
Right.
So it's an interesting balance when we're really, really talking about it. Like this comes down to not only who's on the other side of the deal, but also who's on your team and who are you surrounding yourself with and who are you working with and how are you setting up your business so that you can succeed without burnout, but also getting the results that you want to get and controlling the things that you can control. I don't know.
Right. Yeah. It's a heavy lift. Do you want to tell your car story?
Oh my God. This car saga is so stupid, but here we go. So I'm still looking for a car. I think we bought a car. I think I'm getting it tomorrow. But I went to this dealership locally owned dealership, and they have a number of cars. And I'm not getting a new car. So this was like, these were all like pre-owned, but this was like a place that had higher end pre-owned cars. I mean, I'm talking they have like a $2 million Lamborghini on their lot. So it's not like I
so that's
went
what
to
you
like,
bought?
that is what I got, you guys. It's so beautiful. I don't even care about my kids anymore. I'm just kidding. I
They
did
can
not
walk.
get that. Yeah, it doesn't even fit a booster seat, but who cares? Who cares about those kids?
Kids are all getting bikes for Christmas
Yeah, we'll tow them on the back.
and a warmer jacket.
Yeah. But I'm just like setting the scene for the fact that like I didn't roll up to like Billy Bob's
Yeah. Right.
buy cars here situation. Okay, so
We also cash checks early.
Exactly. Cash checking / car buying place.
And you can wire money to Mexico.
Yeah. Or somewhere else. Anyway, so I go, and I had looked at some things online. We were focused on a couple different cars, and I went in. They had at least 2 cars that I wanted to look out there. So I walk into the dealership. Listen, it's scary to go into these dealerships as a lady. Immediately it's going to be weird. So I go in, and I'm just like, hey, I'm here. I'd like to see these 2 cars. This is what I was looking at. Meet this young guy. And I'm young. Like, I'm not sure this guy is 23. Okay. And I will not say his name, although it is very similar to mine, and I thought that was funny. But so use your imagination. But anyway, I was like, okay. He's like, okay, cool. I'll pull those around. I was like, great. So he pulls them around. I look at them. I like them. One I like more than the other. The one I like more than the other is more expensive. Surprise, surprise. And so I just said to him, I was like, okay, cool. I was like, is there anything else on the lot you think that I should look at? I'm looking for a 7-seater. Here's what I'm looking for. Blah, 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 blah. And he's like, no, not really. So then I'm talking to him about the car, and I'm looking around the lot. Like, I didn't see anything, but like I can't see all the cars, right? And so I'm like, okay, cool. Like, if we could get this car down to this price, which was, by the way, this is not a cheap car. It was $2,500 less. So like in the grand scheme of a car, that's not super much. And he was like, well, we don't negotiate price. And I was like, chill out, Colin. You negotiate price. Okay.
I'm glad you told me the name because I hadn't figured it out yet.
You hadn't? Oh my God.
Maybe my brain's not working today, but I'm like, Helena? Like what? Beli? I don't know.
Colin. Okay. So I was like, chill out. I was like, okay, Colin. I was like, listen, everything's negotiable. What are you talking about? And he was like, no, we sell at market price. Like, we don't negotiate. And I was like, Colin, I work in real estate, man. Everything's negotiable. And he just really held the line firm on this. And I was like, well, that's really dumb. So I just said, okay, cool. Like, my husband's going to call you. I walked off the lot, right? Because David was going to handle the financing. Great. My job's done here. I picked the car I liked. And so David talks to him, and he's like, well, we don't do any negotiating. This is the price. And we looked at the car, and the car has been dropping $1,500 every 2 weeks for the last month and a half. So it's already gone. It's already dropping, right? And so David's like, well, I just said to David, I was like, well, just say to them, like, and listen, I probably just should have done this negotiating, but I didn't want to. That's what I do for a living. I don't want to have to do it all the time. And so I said, say to David, told David, I was like, just say to him, like, listen, do you want us to just buy the car now? Or do you want us to wait 2 weeks to when you're going to drop the price? Because, like, you tell me. Seems dumb.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, no, we don't negotiate. And I was just like, wow, this guy's so dumb. Here's the other dumb part to this. We went online and looked at their website, and there were 7 other cars that were 7-seaters in the same price range that this guy just decided not to show me. And I'm like, you're just not good at your job. If I sat there and I said, hey, I would like to get this car. I'd like to be at this price. We don't, and his line is, we don't negotiate. In my mind, as a salesperson or just a business person or like just a smart person, I would have said like, hey, yeah, we don't really negotiate on this price, but I've got X, Y, and Z over here. Maybe you should take a look at these, right?
Right.
Like, let's see what else we have on the lot that might work for you. Let's see. Oh, you know what? I know you're not interested in this one, but I really think it might be a good fit for you. So let's go check it out. We do that with our job all the time, right? Because
Right.
the client thinks they know what they want, but there might be something they don't know that even exists or don't know that
Mhm.
they want. And then you show it to them and then they like it. So this guy basically lost a sale because he was so hard line on this not negotiating thing, but so short sighted that he couldn't figure out like how to sell me something else. So instead
Mhm.
of, there was 2 cars and they were about $10,000 apart. So instead of finding me something else within that $10,000 plus or minus range, he just decided to be hardline on the we don't negotiate $2,500. And I'm just
He was
like,
like hyper focused on moving that unit for whatever
yeah,
reason. If
yeah,
they've been dropping the price every 2 weeks, obviously that's been sitting in inventory. It's stale. They want to move it. I hear that. But we used to tell this to our underwriters when we would negotiate price for our commercial insurance clients was, do we want some of something or
yeah,
none of nothing?
yeah.
Like, come on. Like, we've got a
It,
shot here.
and that's exactly my point. So this guy, and really as a business owner, I almost want to call the owner and be like, I just want to tell you this. You literally lost
Yeah.
a sale, and I went bought from a bigger box company, and I would have rather bought from you locally. But here's the deal. Like, you've got a guy on the lot who can't critically think, who can't understand how to sell, who can't come up with alternatives to this range. And because I walked in and said, I want this black SUV, his brain only went to these 2 black SUVs. There is a blue one on the lot that is the same year, same make, same model that he didn't think he needed to bring out to me. I'm like, that's so dumb. Like,
Right.
and here's the situation where he's bad at his job and I can't control that. I can't make him better at his job. I mean, I could try, but now I
But
don't get the
why?
car that, but why? Not, I don't need to save the world for
Not
him. I
yours.
don't need to save this. I don't need to save Colin. He's fine. Like, I don't get this car that I wanted. Fine. I can deal with that. This company doesn't get the sale. He doesn't get the commission because he's just not good at his job, or he can't
Mhm.
critically think, or no one's trained him, or he's been told so hard that whatever it is. But I was just like, I was so irritated from a business owner's perspective. Like, I told Davida, I was like, I'm irritated because I could have bought from this small business and now I'm not going to.
I would
I
give
just,
the owner that feedback. Honestly, I mean, being we don't know what we don't know. We don't know what's
yeah,
happening that we don't get to see in our businesses. And I think that that is a really valuable perspective for a business owner to hear. I just had an issue at the bank I've been banking at forever. And I know the CEO and the CTO very personally, like had drinks with them the next day. And I was like, that's some feedback if you're open.
yeah,
And then when I finally went in and was helped, it was clear there had been some conversations. And I was not well
yeah.
loved
Well, and
by
that's
the
the thing
staff
that's,
members, but do your
yeah, and
fucking job.
do your job. And honestly, here's an interesting, like, at what point do you become a Karen? That's the interesting thing, right? At what point do I become a Karen? Like, what point am I like, and does it matter? I know there's like, listen, I don't want to be a Karen. We all know what that means. But at what point should I say, hey, listen, I want to talk to your manager because I don't think this guy's getting the job done? And
Let me give you an example of a time where it
oh,
would be appropriate. Let me explain what happened at the bank. So I needed to change my bank account. I've been a sole proprietor. Well, I registered as an LLC at the beginning of this year. I hadn't done the change yet. So I
mhm.
needed before the end of the year to switch my bank account from a sole proprietor to an LLC bank account.
Okay.
And apparently they only have like a couple business associates that can help with those types of things at the bank. I had an appointment for 1 o'clock. You guys know I'm pretty fucking busy. My kids need to be
Yeah.
picked up by 2:45. They're 25 minutes away from where that was. I hadn't had time to eat lunch yet. It was a busy day. So I check in at 1:00 for my appointment. Okay, have a seat. Great. 10 minutes in, somebody comes over and they're like, hey, I see you sitting here. The person's still at lunch, which also, why'd you make an appointment and then go to lunch? This
Yeah, what the
doesn't
fuck?
track, but okay, fine. She's like, she should be back within like 5-ish minutes and then she'll be ready to help you. I'm like, okay, 15 minutes late. I got communicated with, like, would have been nice to know this upon check-in, but whatever. Fine.
Yeah.
I can Instagram for 5 minutes and be fine. The other thing was the
Right.
Wi-Fi. I wasn't getting very good cell service here. So
So you
it was
couldn't
a
even
little
work
annoying,
or
but
something, right?
yeah, I was trying to, and everything like was hitting a wall, and I was like, "This is frustrating,"
That's
but
the
whatever.
worst.
It is what it is. Like 5 minutes, I can deal. 20 minutes go by.
Oh
30
God.
minutes goes by.
No, bye. Goodbye. You had to walk
35
out, right?
minutes. I'm like, "Excuse me, I have been here for 35 minutes. My appointment was 35 minutes ago. I was told it would be like 15 after. Nobody has even come over. I saw all the people come back to their desks. Nobody's even checked in with me." And I'm like, what's going on? And I went to the woman that was supposed to be helping me. She's like, well, I have to finish creating this other business account before I can help you. And I'm like,
Why? Why'd you make the appointment then?
I had an
What's
appointment
the
at 1
point of an
o'clock. It's
appointment?
now 1:35. What are we doing?
I would've
And
just
also I'm
lost
creating
my
a business
shit.
account. Do you think that like I'm just like business owners don't have a fuckload of time? We're
Yeah.
strapped. So she's like, well, let me see if my manager can help you. And I'm like, okay, great, get the manager. The manager comes and she's like, unfortunately, I can't help you with this.
Oh my
Only one of our
God.
business associates can. And I'm like, well,
Why can't the manager do everything?
we're now 40 minutes past my appointment time and you can't help me. And you're telling me she can't stop what she's doing to help me, even though I had a scheduled appointment. What the fuck is going on here?
I'm
So
so
then she's
angry
like,
listening
well,
to this.
oh, I was fucking furious. So then she's like, well, it'll probably take her like 10 more minutes. Can you wait? And I'm like,
No.
I don't know. Let me look at my calendar and figure out like what the fuck. So I pull up their website and I'm like looking at the next time I can schedule an appointment to do this. And so I do that, but I have a large commission check and I was going to open the account with the large commission check,
Yeah.
but also I needed to get that commission check into my account because we need to use that fucking money for stuff.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, okay, I go to her. I'm like, I've made an appointment for Monday. I need to deposit this check and I'm not waiting in that line to do so. It's too big to go on the ATM. All the things, can't do the mobile stuff. Also, they charge $15 for a ACH deposit in this business account. Why do they do that? And I think I don't know if you guys
Every
know of a bank
time?
that's not every wire or ACH that goes in, they charge $15. So every one of
Usually
my
it's the
commission checks, they're taking $15.
Oh, well, I don't know if that's a state thing, but because it's not that way here. I get charged when I pay my agent, like when I give her commission,
Right.
I get charged $2.50 up until like
$2.50.
up until a certain
Even that's
amount,
more
and then it's
manageable.
like 70 cents or something like that. But yeah,
So I was like, I'm not waiting in this line. So she deposited my check for me. And I was like, thanks. Because I'm not doing that. I'm not waiting in another minute here. And then I went the
No.
following Monday. I was helped right away. But it was clear like the gal remembered me from the week before I worked with the other one. It was like clear I'd been passed intentionally and went a certain way. You could just feel it. And I'm like,
Yeah.
whatever. I also took an hour and a half to set up a business account, which I don't know why it takes so long.
Why does
I
it
just
take
don't
that long?
understand. I just don't understand. So I worked the whole time, which was fine. Like I got the Wi-Fi and got shit done while I sat in front of her and she was just like inputting things. But also I don't understand why it takes so long. Especially
And
like I
that's
showed up with all the information. I was
That's a
ready.
systems problem. Seriously. That's a
Susie called
situation
them.
where like they need Susie, where somebody should have done like an intake, right? What information did she need beforehand to make this faster?
Right. Like can we do like an online intake and then like I show up and you've got all the information input and ready and now we just need to like verify applications and finish? Like why does this take so long? So anyways, I controlled what I could control in that situation. I ate before I went because I was
Good
super
job.
fucking hangry the last time because
Yeah.
and I even told her, I said, if I would have when I checked in, if you would have said, my gal needs an hour, is there any chance you're available in an hour? I would have been annoyed, but I would have been like, actually, that's fine. I can go run these 2 errands and come right back. And then
Correct.
instead, I just sat there and wasted an hour of my day. which is full of shit that I could have been doing. It's just frustrating. So I controlled what I could control the second time. I went fed. I brought my computer and I could work. I made the most of the time. It was fine, but super frustrating. Just being in this world is so hard sometimes.
It's super frustrating. Well, you know, it's interesting. And we hear this now a lot in the real estate industry. And I don't know if they're hearing it in other industries, but it's like, if you focus on the process and the system or whatever, and not the outcome, don't focus on the outcome, focus on the steps to get to the outcome, or we can't control the outcome, which I don't know that I fully believe. Like, I think you can control the outcome sometimes. So let's talk about that, because I think there is a lot of this talk about like, you can't always control the outcome. And I suppose you can't always control the outcome, but you can control a significant amount of it. Do you think that's the same thing as control what you can control?
Yeah, I think that you are focused on doing what you can to get the outcome that you want. So we talked about this morning on Happier Human. We always record on Wednesdays, you guys. I'm always so fresh on Sky Michaels. But we had a guy on and he was talking about the goals we set and whether they should be outcome based or effort based. And I think it varies for like the type of person that you are. And Allie, I'm going to throw you under the bus here. Allie from Raleigh. She was talking about how she was so outcome oriented with her goals this last year that she got about halfway through the year and felt like, okay, well, I'm not going to hit this big goal that I set for myself. And now I feel like shit about myself. And so maybe in that scenario, an effort based goal would have been better to set. So exactly like focusing on the process rather than the outcomes. I want to do this level of business. Well, to get to that level of business, I need to be doing this much customer client outreach. I need to be, these are the things that I can control to get me to this outcome. Yeah. And so my focus needs to be on these things that I can control. So I can get up every day and reach out to 5 people in my sphere. I can control that. I can't control if those people are going to be ready to buy, sell, or refer this year.
Right.
Like that I can't control, but I can control that I'm going to stay in front of this person. I'm going to make sure they know, like, and trust me. And then when the time comes, I'm going to be the person that they call.
Right.
But I can't control that they call me.
Yeah,
I can't control that they call me, but I can control. And then the other thing about this too, though, is do your job, live your life in a way where you can sleep good at night, knowing that regardless of how this goes. I lost a listing this week because they wanted someone that lived in the town. And I'm like, I don't think they understand our community because we're just rural. And it just is what it is. I've sold 2 houses in that neighborhood this year.
Yeah.
Down the street, I'm as good of an agent for that area as anybody. I can't control that
that was a
went a different
idea
way
that they wanted. You can't control that. Yeah.
Right. Like I can talk to it and I can try to ease their mind about it. But at the end of the day, it's their decision to make. It's not mine. And I just need to do enough other outreach and like, it can't be my only iron in the fire as a business owner. Like that can't be the only thing I'm going to sell this next month, this next year. I couldn't be just banking on that. I need to be casting a wider net and doing the like outreach to 5, or whatever it is, your metric that you've decided you want to do to try to get to the level you want to get to.
I think that's where abundance really comes into this conversation. And I think that's also the bigger part of it, right? And we've talked about this so much, either on the air or in person. Like sometimes these outcomes seem so intense because you don't have more, right? But if you had more, if you had an abundance, or if you had an abundance mindset, then they wouldn't feel as intense, right? Like when it's your only deal and then it's falling apart, it feels really intense, right? Because there's a lot riding on that. And I was just talking to my agent, Nicole, about this today. Like she's got some clients who, bottom line, are just not ready to buy. But they have asked to see 1 million homes. We have them under a buyer's agency agreement. She's taken them out 1 million times. They continue to change what they want or what they think they want. They're just not ready. And I just said to her, I was like, you have to continue to, don't have to do anything. Continue to work with these clients, but we have to focus our attention some other places as well, because they will just feel like, I said, you kind of have to think of them as not really a client at this point. And I think you know what I mean when I say that.
They're not an active
client,
today.
right? So they will suck up all your time, and you will give them all your time if they're the only, quote unquote, only client that you have right now. So what we need to be
Right.
doing is actively marketing you,
Prospecting. Yeah.
prospecting, putting you out there, finding more clients, doing activities that are going to get you more clients so that this doesn't feel so frustrating, you know, because she's like, well, I sent him this thing and it checks all the boxes of what they said they wanted. And now she's telling me they want this and X, Y, and Z. And so that I think is also, that also really makes a difference. Abundance of clients. I think like in this car situation, an abundance of money would have made this whole lot different, right? Like if I had,
Right. Yeah.
you know, like a different budget that I could work with on this, like that would be different. If there were more of these cars that I wanted available, that would have been different.
But if you spend your time and effort and energy spinning about those things that
Yeah.
you don't currently have control over,
Yeah.
what a waste.
Yeah.
What a waste.
What
I
a
mean,
waste.
one of the most valuable things that I ever have taken from therapy is that's not mine. I'm the child of an alcoholic and I cannot control his behavior.
Yeah.
And that I spent years and years and years of my life feeling like a piece of shit because I wasn't good enough or whatever it might have been. And like, but that's not mine. What's going on in his life is not mine. As much
Right.
as it touches mine,
Sure.
like what I can control is the boundary I set,
Right.
and I can't control him. Or like, I mean, we're wrapping up the holidays. We're going into it, but when you listen to this, we'll be past them. Like,
Yeah.
how many people in your holiday dinner, like, could you have set a boundary with, and or did you, and did they not like it? But like, we don't get to
Mhm.
control their reaction to the boundary we set. We only
Right.
get to control the boundary that we set, and then us working on our side to honor our own boundary
Yeah.
and set yourself up to succeed in that way. So just another example of like controlling what you can control personally, you know, or like, okay, so all of my perimenopausal friends, where everybody I talk to is like, oh, I've got like 10, 15, 20 pounds on my gut all of a sudden that I can't get off.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what you can control in that scenario is getting your hormones checked by someone who
Mm-hmm.
actually knows what they're doing,
Yeah.
moving your body every day, getting the right amount of sleep, drinking enough water, what you're putting inside for fuel. Like you can control those things. And if the scale or your pant size isn't moving, like you can't control that. It does have to be effort based. The goal.
Yeah.
You can
Yeah.
have the goal of I'm going to lose 20 pounds, but if that's not possible for an unbeknownst reason in your body, then you're gonna be down like Allie was in June when she was like, shit, I'm not going to hit that benchmark I had. Like, you're
That's
going
a
to feel
really
bad about
relatable.
yourself.
That's a really relatable analogy, although, you know, I hate using weight analogies, but I think it's something that we can all kind of relate to, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is typically with weight, you'll say, I want to weigh 120 pounds. That's my goal.
No, don't we all?
Right?
I want to be the weight on my driver's license, still 125 pounds.
Exactly. So that is an outcome based goal, right? But there
Right.
are so many factors in that and I have another thought about this as far as like when you're setting goals, how you're setting goals. But anyway, you might not physically, with your bone density and your muscle mass and your organs
Your
and
height.
your height, you might not be able to physically achieve that goal, right? Like
Right.
that just might not be a goal that you should achieve in a healthy way. So that's really interesting. You know, like I am the person, I am very similar to Allie, where she and I set the same production goal this year, and we produced the same very similar volume last year, and we wanted to double our production this year. I mean, that's an insane goal, especially since now looking back, apparently this was the worst year in real estate since 1995. So we didn't know that was coming up when we set those production
Couldn't
goals.
control that.
Can't control that.
Couldn't control the interest rates. Can't
Nope.
control the election. Can't
Right.
control any of those
Any
things.
of it. So in this situation, the effort is there, right? Did I do like I didn't hit the double, right? I hit about where I got last year. But if I look at it, last year I had a client who was half my volume. because it was 2 big deals, right? And that was a big deal. And while that was awesome, this year I serviced more people. And though that half volume client is a big outlier. So this year my business grew in so many ways, right? Like it's having to look at the analysis, it's having to adjust the goal, it's having to, and that's a situation where mid-year, if you think, oh shit, like I'm not going to make that double my goal. Okay, how do I need to adjust? How do I need to shift not only my goal, but what I'm doing? Can I do something different? Or if what I'm doing enough, but the goal that I set was not realistic for the time of that I have left, for the time that the duration that I set it for this season that we are in real
For the
estate and the
the business
economy
environment.
and yeah. So I think that there is a balance between that outcome plus effort based goal setting. I think there has to be, because I don't like, and there are some people who believe like, well, if I just do the things on my checklist, then I will get the results. And I don't think that that's true, because
Also,
I
how you
think
show up doing those things is a factor.
correct. I think there is the effort and the intention behind doing the things on the checklist. I had a friend who was in real estate and she was like, well, if I just do the things on my checklist, then I should be getting clients. And I'm like, but if you're just sitting there doing them like with no
Half-assed.
energy, no effort, just checking boxes, you're not going to get any clients. Like it's just not going to work. Because people can feel that. Like that's an energy thing.
When I was first getting sick with the kidney disease, my job at the time was to cold call, 10 cold calls a day, and then servicing clients between that and all of that. And when I was low energy and felt like dog shit, and I walked in and did a cold call, I was never received well because I wasn't showing up with the energy, with the enthusiasm, with the sparkle, if you will. But on days where I was like, I rule the world, here we go, and I'd walk in and I had confidence, like those were days where like I got new clients because people wanted to work with me because I showed up in a way that worked. And I think that's probably an alignment thing.
Yeah.
Also, like going out and making those calls was not in alignment with how I physically, emotionally, mentally was feeling. And I was just doing it because I was supposed to do it and I didn't want to get fired. But that's just not effective.
So I think there's and this is with everything, right? Like there's a balance. There's no clear answer. There's no do an effort-based goal or do an outcome-based goal. In my opinion, I don't think that there is an absolute one way or the other. I think it has to be a combination of those two things.
I think you set the outcome goal and then you identify, and I think we did this in Susie's business planning last week. And then you identify what are 3 controllables that I could do to achieve that. So like the goal is to like host 2 client parties this year.
Yeah.
If that's what your goal is. Then what do I need? What are the things that then I need to break down to do? It's almost like, I mean, her vision to reality. It's like we start with the big giant vision and then we break that into goals and then we break that into tangible actions and tasks on the everyday calendar list of things to do. And that's how, and you do like, I mean, how do you eat an apple one bite at a time? You know, you do the one thing that you can do right now. It's like how I'm here doing this. Like I have goals. I had a hard morning, but like, I know that controlling this one thing, doing this one thing I need to do that is an action towards my long-term goal. That's what I can do today. That's what I can control today. Right. And I'm going to announce this. We'll have to follow this journey. But I told Alex this morning and another girlfriend, like, I think I'm going to take a break from drinking. I haven't been drinking a lot, but I drank last night and then I had shitty sleep.
Yeah.
And I have shitty sleep already just with like my cycle right now. So why I'm going to add one more thing to that's going to potentially interfere. Like I want to stop doing that. It just doesn't feel worth it to me right now. And so my girlfriend who had the same revelation like 6 months ago, and she's been doing this, she's like, okay, but for a little while, just literally minute to minute. Not that I'm not a raging alcoholic or a drunk. I'm really a social drinker, but that will be hard socially when I'm at a Christmas party on Saturday at Alex's work to like skip the drinks.
But you can do it, right? Because like most of us didn't drink while we were pregnant, right? And there were those social situations. But with that, you have a quote unquote excuse. And this is really
Right.
interesting. There are some really amazing women in my community here who I would love to be on the show. And I hope they will come on. And they just rebranded. So I want to make sure I say their name correctly. But it's Orangely, I think. No, Drink Orange, Orangely. I don't know. We're going to ask them. They used to be Lauren's AF, and they are an alcohol-free liquor store. And it's really cool. And I've been to a couple events with them, and I kind of know them. And it's really cool to see that this alcohol-free community that has really flourished in the last few years, like really has become such a community and such an option. So like there are all these cool mocktails or like different things that you can buy. I think for me, it comes down to like intention. Like, why are you drinking? Are you drinking to get drunk because that's what you want to do? Then you don't want to drink these things because it's a waste of time and money. But if you're drinking it in your social situation, or, you know, it feels fun, or you want just like something like that's fun, little treat. These are really awesome, valid options. And I'm going to reach out to them today and see if they'll come be on our show, because I think they're so awesome. And they have 2 stores, and they're going to open a 3rd just here in Indianapolis, which is pretty insane. So let's keep talking about it, because I think that's awesome.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I'm not saying I'm never going to drink again for the rest of my life.
Sure.
I'm going to try this right now and see how I feel. But so I talked to Alex about it this morning, and I was like, it would be helpful to me if you would join me on this journey for a period of time, at least while I adjust to the change of lifestyle. And then he like took the outcome goal, which is like, I don't want to drink anymore. And he turned it into the effort. So he's like, okay, so I'm thinking we'll lock the wine fridge, which I don't really need him to lock the wine fridge. I'm not really like
banging it down. Yeah.
Listen, the effort it takes to open a bottle of wine is enough to like keep me from drinking wine generally. And then he's like, I'll move all of the drinks that are in the booze fridge outside. He's like, let's just move those into a cooler and put them away. And so that like, it's just not easy. It's not cold. It would take effort to go get them. And I'm like, yeah, that's fine. I don't really drink at home anyways. It's going to be the social things for me.
Yeah.
But
well, and interestingly, I had this realization maybe about a year ago, and I still have a drink. I still drink, but especially in our field, because there's so much networking, and alcohol is a big player in our industry. Like it just is. It's everywhere you go. It's everything, every networking thing, every broker's open, every whatever event. I mean, like everywhere I went last night, there were cocktails at this holiday home tour that we did, and that's fine. And it just got to a point where, I was just like, I don't know, man. Like I gotta like go home, and I gotta put my kids to bed, and I gotta do the thing. Like this seems like and then I also am, I don't know, good, bad, or indifferent. I'm like, one drink seems lame to me.
Right. Like what's the point?
Like, what's the point? Like, it seems like a waste of like, I don't know, like why I would do that if it was just one drink. So,
but then also we're at an age where should we be drinking to get drunk? Probably not.
Yeah, exactly. So I love this. We should keep talking about it. There is
we'll keep talking about it.
Term called
sober by choice.
No, like sober curious.
Oh yeah, sober curious.
So, okay, cool. Yeah. Well, I loved having this conversation with you today, and I'm so happy that you were here and we could chat. And
I feel lighter. I knew I would feel better at the end of this than at the beginning.
Good.
Thank you. Thanks for being here for me, tribe. I appreciate you guys, and I hope you enjoy listening, and lots more fun coming.
Yeah. And we love you guys.
Keep doing it right.
Bye-bye.
That's a wrap. Thank you for joining us on this journey of laughter, life, and growth.
And remember, you're not alone on this path to success. We're right here with you every step of the way.
Please remember to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode. And if you found value in today's conversation, we'd be thrilled if you would leave us a review on your favorite platform. Your feedback means the world to us.
And don't forget to share this podcast with your friends, family, and anyone who could use a good laugh and some practical insight into navigating the challenges and triumphs of our minds, body, soul, and business.
Remember, we're doing this right.